Welcome to Builder Buzz by Home Nation, where we bring in builders, developers, and everyday investors to talk about one of America's biggest opportunities: affordable housing. We'll talk about real costs, explosive growth, big mistakes, and tough lessons you won't learn anywhere else. Whether you're building homes, buying land, or just building big ideas, this podcast is for you.
Hi, everybody. Today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Anthony with Jehovah Builders. They are in residential and commercial construction. They have a couple locations throughout Florida. They're working in a couple different states, and they also have locations overseas. They're a big company. They've got big ambitions with an IPO, hopefully Q4 2025, but a lot of stuff going on. This is really great. Anthony was able to take a little bit of time off of a job to sit down and do a quick podcast with me. There's a lot to learn from Anthony. He's a go-getter, very aggressive in his approach toward life and just finding solutions and solving things. So if you want to be motivated and hear just the attitude and the perspective of someone who has, a huge responsibility every single day, this is a podcast to listen to. So typically how I like to start, Anthony, is you're with Jehovah Builders, and you guys, I've looked on your website, I've read up on what the services that you provide, the different team members. You have a very well outfitted team. Looks like you have a number of different locations, and you do services that your typical builder is not going to do, just the mass amount of services that you provide from commercial to residential. So just give us an idea of who you are and what Jehovah Builders does.
Sure. So we are licensed general contractors in the state of Florida. We are in a few other states. We have about 6 or 7 states that we're in, and we're moving our way through the United States. And we're also licensed in a few other countries: Bahamas, Colombia. We should be getting Argentina and Brazil all on this next round. So, yeah, we're company is kind of set up where we do a lot of design and engineering and project management
Mm.
because we're very unique in the sense that not only are we builders, but we're also cold force steel
Yeah.
manufacturers.
So
Um, that kind of allows us to do, we're basically able to work with local labor when we get in all these markets, which allows us to scale.
yeah.
A lot of the what happens is because we are in the manufacturing space as well, we're able to do a lot of pre-packaging of our containers. So our doors, our windows, paint, screws, everything's in there. So there's not a lot of shopping. So we're
Hmm.
basically, we are an international organization. We are taking containers. We're moving a lot of product around, and then we work with the local, like I said, labor in the area to be able to work on really just cash contracts. All the materials are there. We try to make it real simple. We're basically trying to.
Hmm.
Construction is a very old industry.
Yeah.
It's probably as old as prostitution, actually.
Yeah.
This is what they use to, civilize the world, and it's archaic. There's
Yeah.
a lot of paper processes. There's a lot of just old systems, and it's very chaotic. And we're trying to streamline that process. We're trying to do everything we can to make it as
Mm.
easy as possible. Trying to make it so we don't have change orders. We're trying to make it to where everybody can be happy.
Yeah.
Guys, homeowners can get the product that they want, the house that they want, the way that they want it.
Yeah.
Um, and guys can work on just showing up and doing the work, and they don't have to worry about being paid. So we have our own app. We will be doing an IPO shortly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a
Wow.
lot of things in the mix.
Wow. So it sounds like cold forged steel is a huge component to what you do, and that you're a
Yes,
manufacturer of it. So you're not just buying it from somebody else. You guys are doing it, making it yourselves. Is that right?
yes, yes.
So just tell me a little bit more. Why is that so crucial? Because it's, from what I've gathered, you're shipping these parts, whether it's here in the States or overseas, and then you're getting the labor locally. And so being able to ship that cold forged steel there makes a huge difference in your ability to do the project. Would that be an accurate understanding?
Yes, and for a couple reasons. Like, I usually tell people what we can do is we can save them 10 to 15% on hard costs. Plus, we can speed up their construction schedule by 40 to 50%.
Mhm.
The reason why we're using steel as our structural instead of like concrete or wood is I live in Florida. So Florida
Yeah.
is a swamp. We have a lot of bugs. A lot of bugs eat termites, eat wood. We deal with a lot of humidity, so wood warps. It's steel is very you're getting like level 5
Mm.
quality on your walls. Everything's straight, and you're not paying for all that extra work because
Mhm.
just the nature of the material is it doesn't warp, everything's straight. And because we have the manufacturing behind us, all of our floor trusses are made out of steel,
Mm.
our roof trusses are made out of steel, our walls are built into panels. So it's kind of a hybrid type of construction where you do a lot of the thinking before we get to the job site. So
Yeah,
when we get
I
there,
like
we
that.
start unloading containers. We'll have a three-story house dried in 3 days. The whole
No
structure up
way.
and dried in. So yeah,
Wow.
we're completing um, you know 3,500 square foot houses in like 8-10 weeks. Done.
That's incredible.
And
That's incredible.
it's more like I said. It's not that what we're doing is special because steel has been around here for a while. It's
Yeah.
more the process on which we do it, the way like we're kind of just mastered systems of systems. So
Mm.
because we do all the thinking and have everything planned, and there's no shopping, it allows for just rapid construction. So that's kind of what we're after.
No shopping. You've used that term a couple of times.
Yeah. So we pass. So like I said, for since we have a duplex that's going up in Treasure Island, right on the beach.
Yeah, very
So
nice.
right now, yeah, right now, Florida is in a transition on the coast where FEMA's involved, and they want all these houses elevated so stormwater doesn't come. I mean, we
Mhm.
are a builder who we lived on the beach. So in the first hurricane, we lost everything ourselves. Yeah, we were total for like 3 months. We were living on air mattresses and camping chairs. But and we weren't really even in the rent space or the world too
Mm.
much. But just because of the natural disasters, and we have access to large amounts of labor, we moved a lot of guys into that space. So a lot of the that we're building are being elevated. They're going up. Um, the first floor starting 15 feet in the air.
Mhm.
So some of these houses are combinations of red iron steel and cold forged steel. But the steel itself, just like I said, it allows for us to go get all of our houses, pack our first container with all of our structural, get it all ready. Then the next containers that come are all of our finishes. So our ton there, our flooring materials, our all the finishes, the paint, the doors, the windows. We put everything in there, so that way when we get there, we're able just to yeah, I mean, I say no shopping, but that's really a lot of time is wasted sending guys to stores to
Yeah.
go buy materials, waiting for deliveries.
Seriously,
So
yeah.
being being able to streamline that process really is something that gives us like an advantage. That's how we can speed up construction schedules by 40 to 50% because everything's there.
Yeah, they can just get started, unpack and get started. So you have access to large amounts of labor. What is that something that sets you apart from other builders?
I would say yes because I mean just current geopolitical you know events
Yeah.
right now in there and especially in Florida. There's a high Latin
Yeah.
culture here. There has been, this is the second wave of uh, of the labor kind of drying up. About 2 years ago, we kind of experienced a little bit. There was a
Really?
law that went into effect that it was a felony to hire unlicensed
Hmm.
workers. So that
No way.
was yeah, that was a pretty serious situation where guys were losing and crews on jobs. Job sites were sitting empty, and then now with everything with voter and they're trying to make
Yeah.
sure everyone, which that's all fine, well and good. The reason why we have access to people than most is just because we have multiple locations because we are in
Mm.
we are opening an office in Mexico because we have one in Utah. We have access to
Yeah.
get people that have already gone through the process of getting green cards and they have all their documentation. So, all those guys care about is just hey, work. Hey,
Yeah.
we can buy you 8 months. You come to Florida, we can get you eight
Yeah.
monts. So it kind of
Really?
gives us a good help.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. So you take the people from the other location because, like you said, they need to work. That's what they came here for.
That's it.
So
Absolutely.
that's man. So the US market is huge. But there's so much you're into other states. Why bother going overseas?
Man, to be honest with you, it's I to figure out a way where I could see the world. And I wanted to figure out a way where I can travel.
Mm.
I've been involved. This company will be my third IPO. The
Yeah.
first one I did, I went 25 cents to $7 a share. It was great. My next one, I was building a tourism app before COVID in Europe,
Mm.
and my whole job was to go to a new city, find the vibe, put the club, the hotel, put it in the app, and go to the next one. I would have did that job
Wow.
forever, and then COVID happened and locked the whole thing down. So I was
Yeah.
like, man, I back to Florida. I was like, man, what am I going to do? I was like, I have the GC license. And then that just ended up being right place because during the whole COVID fiasco, Florida was open for business and
Mm,
we were shut down for 10 minutes and then we were back working and the
yeah.
market was just crazy here. So, we were blessed because of the state we were living in. I have a great governor. And
Hmm. Yeah.
then, I was just trying to figure out how I could again go back to wing and find out how to travel for free. So that's, we kind of made an internal change with our company, kind of moved more from us self-performing jobs to now, like I said, design engineering and project management of jobs.
Mm,
And then now my company is, just a lot of project managers where they can go to all these places and be perfectly honest with you. It's so much easier to build in other countries.
yeah.
We deal with so much bull crap,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the departments and inspectors and thing. I have I have a quote online that says, "When the revolution starts, we're starting with the building departments."
Yeah.
And I
Seriously.
regularly send that into them because they make everything so difficult
They
needlessly. You know
do.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So in some of these other countries, if you have an engineer, there's no inspections. He's there watching it along.
Yeah.
Everybody's on the same team. So really, just hold interaction with the government is not there, and it makes it very very easy.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. And then you can just don't have those sort of setbacks that you have here. So Florida shut down for 10 minutes. Then we got going, which I loved. I was super glad. I'm here as well. Cocoa Beach area. Love Florida.
Okay,
Love our
nice.
governor. Really, really glad to be here. Um, but you've got did your builders start back around 2020 or it started prior?
The company was established in 2018.
Okay.
That's when we got everything going. I had previously, before I started my own company, I was vice president of another one
Yeah.
for a couple of years. But before that, I believe it or not, the entertainment world, doing music videos, TV
Yeah.
shows, commercials, stuff like that. So I learned the skill of project management in a nonlinear way.
Yeah.
So, when you have 300 guys, you have to be able to make quick decisions and move stuff around and,
Yeah.
time is money. So but my family, I've always been builders. My family are builders from up in the Northeast. I was a little kid and my uncle was shooting a nail gun at me because I was walking, carrying,
Yeah.
of roofing tiles and stuff. You know what I mean? So, I get my work ethic from the Northeast, and just all around construction, a lot of residential up there. My uncle's still there,
Yeah.
been a contractor for 40 years. But yeah, I mean, that's how when I came back into the country and I had the GC license, that's really where we really started operationalizing it.
Yeah.
Before it wasn't like a full time, I wasn't going after construction contracts exclusively, but the
Ah.
demand was just the demand was so crazy because everybody started coming to the state. I started walking
Yeah.
out to job sites and to go through walkthroughs, and people had camera crews. Well, we're here from Iowa, we're rich in the real estate. So it was kind of
Yeah.
crazy. And then also, you know, because of the network I had, and subs and the level of business that we were doing here in the Tampa market, we there were hedge funds here that they were buying 400 houses a month and
Mm.
just doing residential flips. So it was just the wild, wild west. It was just a gorge.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So I didn't really do a lot of residential work before because, like I
Mhm.
said, I was vice president of a commercial one.
Yeah.
So it was all that world. But like I said, now we're doing, because of the manufacturing, we do new construction, residential, obviously commercial, and insurance. That's kind of where we land.
That's good. Yeah, you mentioned you have transitions from doing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, you transitioned from doing the project yourself to project managing.
Right. Because I was trying to figure out a way that we could scale the business. If you're self performing, then you're
Mhm.
limited on the man hour of how much, work you can do.
Yeah.
And I mean, you make more money, obviously, self performing stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm my goal was to try to figure out a way that I could travel again and see the country again and see the world again. So I'm going in all these places. It's just not even possible, feasible to these other locations, in these
Mhm.
other countries. So, but it's still important. The project management is the thing that makes it go. So that's kind of where we were like, all right, we'll stick with the design of the projects that we have,
Mm.
and then we're still project manage. Handle all the contracting, the scheduling, all the stuff that goes along with that in all these areas, and we'll just work off a different type of construction model.
So, all right, yeah, just explain that a little bit more for myself because I want to understand it clearly, and really for the listeners, the difference between doing that work yourself versus project managing. Because your typical when you think of a construction company or a builder, you think of the guy with a crew, and maybe he works in his truck or he's got a little office, and then they go and build homes, and the owner is the one who's building the home. So just help us understand the difference there between the two.
Sure. So, the reality is in Florida. Well, let me put it to you this way: up north, everybody self performs. So
Mhm.
self performs means actually doing the work. With my uncle, we would do everything. We would do the foundations, the flooring, the framing,
Mhm.
the electrical, the plumbing, A to Z. When I came, the working up in New York versus coming down here to Florida. Florida is a different market. The building offices, they don't really want us to self perform anything. They really want us to serve like tax collectors. They want to make sure that every sub has their insurance, that they have
Yeah.
all that they're compliant. You know what I mean? So they really have us be a almost like a non-governmental
Yeah.
I don't know, agent
Compliance.
almost. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
and that's one thing, but the other part of it again is if I am the amount of time I can only as being a project manager versus the builder. If I'm going in on building a house, well, it's going to take me 40 hours a week times uh, you know, 100, let's see, 12, 16 weeks, you know what I mean, to build a house a traditional way.
Yeah.
All my time is being spent on that. But me as a project manager, I'm able to take that same construction schedule, bust it up into just think of it as like a train. You have the
Hmm.
engine and then you have all the little cars that kind of
Hmm.
go along.
Hmm.
That's construction. And the conductor, I'm just making sure that all the trains are on the track and that we're hitting every train station or milestone at the time that we're supposed to. That's basically being the project manager versus us actually going into the field and being the one swinging hammers and nails
Yeah.
and using our time in this aspect. So my time is spent more in the mental and the
Yeah.
project
Yeah.
rather than the actual labor
Yeah.
of the
Physical.
project. But
All
if that
right.
makes
So
sense.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's what I thought. But then don't you have liability concerns if you're not the one that's doing the work, but you're the one who got the contract?
Well, so part of our job as the project managers is supervision.
Hmm.
So we are, even though other subs are coming in, we are there making sure that everything is being done properly. Because again, we make sure that the that is done right, but then we also need to be able to pass inspection. And all the inspectors that are coming in from the city, they're not on our team. These guys are looking for problems. So
Yeah.
that's where we're sure that all the subs are doing their work according to the current Florida building codes or whatever code that we're in.
Okay. But that's a lot of work too. That's not.
Yeah, it's arguably harder. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I is the most draining stuff. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like I guys that are out there just I'm just do
Salmon.
all this
Yeah.
wood and they're just yeah they're talking with their buddies, they're drinking beer, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? They're all having a good
Yeah.
time. It's the we're pressure cooker because we have clients on the one side that us. We have the governments and all the stuff that goes along with that pushing us. We have getting paid to pay the subs. All within a certain time. It's yeah, it's easy, man. It's every day. I'm just like I joke about it with my guys. I'm like I'm this is why I like building in other places because it is so much easier. But this is
Yeah.
America. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this major league.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the opportunity. So you want to go public with Jehovah Builders. Do you have a time
Yep.
frame for that? Sounds like you have a lot on your plate even as is.
We yes, my timelines are always aggressive. I think that was trying to be in a position for a fourth quarter, but the auditing taking longer, to make sure all the financials and everything is correct. So it might be something that happens in the mid to of next year. Hopefully, we'll be in a position.
Why do you want to go public?
It's something that I so my public company. I did not go to school for it, right? Like it was not something that I went to school for. I had a friend that does, and he's like, "Hey, do you want this opportunity?" And I was like, "Let me learn the one degree of knowledge that they have that they don't share with everybody." You know what I mean? And so I went in, and it was entertainment one. We took production company public, and at the time we were doing music for Mark Wahlberg's group,
Hmm.
his nephew. There was on that side of it, and we were making the music, and I think we had a song that was almost in the Man of Steel movie. Anyways,
Yeah.
we were actually doing our business, and so I really started, you know, to figure out what to operate at that high level. It was really something that it was very difficult, and I like, challenges. My first, audit, we had a huge accounting firm, Anton and
Hmm.
Chai. And I walked in and I'm like, for our first audit, and they're like, hey, we need this. And I told the guys, I have no idea what I'm doing. And they laughed kind of like that. And I said, but if you tell me exactly what you want, I will go get it.
Yeah, it's
So
great.
my first, yeah, my first was an abortion. But
Yeah.
my next one was 100% better. My next one was 100% better. My next one was
Wow.
100% better. So I was like, all right, I'm starting to get the handle on this. And so as we were forward, and then I started to see, like I said, the value and share price of
Yeah.
stuff going up based upon stuff. I realized, I was like, man, this is how real wealth is done.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's catapult.
You have
And
access
so,
so much.
and but I went down in a ball of flames just because it was just too big. I didn't have the organization that I needed in order to do it. There was too many man hours that needed to be done every time, and I couldn't get it done. So my next time I went to do it, I was in Europe. So this, I thought I was like invincible. I was like 25 cents, $7 a share. This one's going to the moon, right? You know what I mean? I was going to go for it. Boy, did I learn.
Huh.
I ended up losing, like I said, 1.2 million shares. It was out of it. I was with just,
Wow.
yeah, I was with high finance guys, all the ones you hear about, and this was a time when Donald Trump was the president, which
Hmm.
was the greatest time to be international. So my buddy, say that now, but
Hmm.
he was for a European Union. So when over there, we went into this party, and he's like, there's German, France, everybody's
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean? All
Yeah.
like the human courts right there. He's like, oh, this is my friend Anthony. He's from America and he likes Trump. And it was like, they were all ready to fight. And I was like, hey, he says America first. Your country
Yeah.
should be saying the same thing and just shut them all down.
Nice.
And
Nice.
yeah, it was time. But I came back to America, and I, with some wounds, I
Yeah.
learned some scars, and that's where I back, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna find what I have, what I'm in full control of, which was the
Yes.
construction, and we just
Yeah.
started pushing our company till then, and I was like, I'll figure out
Cool.
how to take advantage of all the stuff that I learned throughout this process.
That's good because you're like, construction's in my blood. This is what I know. And I know I
Yeah,
kill it at this with everything I've
that's it.
learned. Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah, man. And the group of builders, people who actually know what they're doing. I think the stats are, I think like every year, 50 people leave the industry and only seven
Hmm.
people come back in.
Hmm.
So, over the last 10 years, people have been given all these, you know, degrees and either going to
Hmm.
college for all this nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I tell people, I'm like, you want to be a millionaire? Be a plumber. Start at 18, you'll be a plumber.
Seriously. Yeah. I got some friends that make some money doing plumbing. It's crazy. And my one friend, you wouldn't imagine how much he makes on like water filtration system. It's
Yeah.
nuts.
On like a side, not a side note, but one of the, I'm a Hebrew. So one
Hmm.
of the big things that we do is take care of foster kids. So I have a
Hmm.
nonprofit that, where we do community events, and then we also build beds for foster kids. So I'm a guardian ad litem, which is a like basically like a court appointed big brother.
Okay.
So if there's domestic violence, kids will come to jail, come to court, and then a judge will assign them a guardian ad litem, right?
Okay.
And so I only work with like the code reds, the 16 to 18-year-olds.
Okay.
And so like my first was three brothers, the 18-year-old, he was 18, 16, and 15. The 18-year-old was wanted for murder. The
Mm.
16-year-old already had a 1-year-old, and the 15-year-old was night to night for the first 6 months I had him, meaning
Hmm.
every night he was in a different place, which is kind of why I was like, we're gonna start building beds.
Yeah, I
But
see.
the reason that is because I would go talk to these kids, and I would explain to them. I'm like, listen, if you want the, and I tried to set up programs, but
Yeah.
with them and the government, it's just they make everything so difficult to actually help
Yeah.
these kids. But I'm like, listen, you want to be,
Yeah.
if you start at 18, by the time you're 22, you can have a plumbing license. If you want, your friend can be an HVAC guy. He's Florida. We don't live with air conditioning. Like we're in air conditioning 99% of the time, except for when we're walking to the car and back.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? You can basically have three licenses by the time you're 28. There's no other place I know of that you can do that.
Yeah.
And construction is always where it's going to be, man.
Yeah.
We're the first domino.
Yeah. It's exactly right. That's a great way to put it. First domino. Yeah, that's exactly right. Man, that's awesome, Anthony. It sounds like you have a ton of stuff going on. How do you keep up with all that? You've got to have a solid team.
I do have a solid team. I have my main core I've been waiting for is I have two that both work for me.
Oh,
One
yeah.
works, yeah. One of them does is with the AutoCAD and the engineers, does
Yeah.
a lot of the heavy lifting in AutoCAD, and then the other one is a project manager. I jokingly say greatest day as a father was when I sent my oldest son to work and I stayed home, and I was like, I should have had 100 sons.
And that's when you think like Jacob and his 12 sons, like, oh, that's what I should have done.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I joke about with my sons, like, I'm gonna have 10 kids now. And they're like, man, that's crazy. I was like, well, that means when you're 40, you'll have 10 20-year-olds,
Hmm.
which is 400 billable man hours a week. You're welcome.
That's pretty good. And they're
Yeah.
hard workers too.
Yeah, but no, man, the team is everything. You know, I have an amazing vice president. And just always been surrounded around good people. You know, because of the different types of industries that I've been in. I have a lot of that do a
Yeah.
lot of different things, and you know, I always just try to make sure I'm the dumbest person in the room. I
Absolutely.
figure
Man.
as long as I'm the dumbest, we're gonna be all right. I'm the slow guy.
Yeah. No, I
My
love
dad
it.
said.
That's totally true, man. I want to hire people smarter than me. That's what I need.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get to where I want to go if I'm the smartest person. It's just not.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yep. But nevertheless, it's a fist fight every day, man. I mean,
Oh,
construction
yeah.
just is what it is.
Yeah, you got a industry. You really do. But everything's got its perks. Well, thank you, Anthony. I really appreciate having you on. I'm sure there's so much more that we could get into, but I know you're out there in the field. So I appreciate you taking time even to jump on a call with me. It's fantastic what you guys are doing. I hope that IPO goes well. I know it sounds like the auditing is taking a bit longer and your timelines are aggressive, but that's kind of what got you to where you are, being aggressive. It's a fist fight every day sort of thing. So I get resonates with me. That's like you got to get up every day and get after it because the life's
That's it, man.
moving on. It's going to pass you by. So that's so cool. Appreciate your time today, man. Thank you.
Have a great one. Thank you.
You too.